the switch at one point.
Okay, we can hear you fine.
Okay.
Okay, we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New Year, Council.
Happy New Year.
Wendy, you want to take the roll call?
Mike Hobson,
Here.
Michelle Bly. Here. Jen Schweddy,
Here.
Marilyn Ertley,
Here.
Jessica Stickles,
Here.
Deborah Nelson. Here. Don Banny.
Here.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Are you a second?
Question.
Speak up, Council. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so we had no members of the public that wish to speak this evening, so we have no public comment.
I'm not able to pull up my agenda at this time, so if we could have another council member read it, that would be great.
Would you like
to read it?
Yeah.
Okay, I move to approve the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the November 30th, 2020 joint meeting and the December 7th and December 14th, 2020 council meetings. Oh, I don't have the accounts payable in front of me. I should.
I could read the accounts payable is approval of EFT payments and claim checks 101,629 through 101,747 dated December 8th, 2020 through December 21st, 2020 for $540,713.95. And approval of EFT payments and claims checks 101,748 through 101,762 dated January 1st through January 4th, 2021 for $556,226.43. And approval of EFT payments and claims checks 1001763 through 101,850 dated December 22nd, 2020 through December 30th, 2020 for $1,516,446.73. And approval of payroll EFT payments and checks 30011 through 30051 dated November 1st, 2020 through November 30th, 2020 for $1,713,387.63.
Okay, and a resolution declaring property tax surplus, interlocal agreement with Arizona Cooperative Purchasing, Airport Commission appointments, and Citizens Salary Commission appointments.
Second.
Question.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. There's a lot on our consent agenda this evening.
Yeah.
So we'll move into our new business item. And the first thing is our Executive Order 2020-1 regarding the city's restaurants and retail recovery plan. Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. Executive Order 2020-1 is related to restaurants and retail recovery plan. The order was issued after working with the restaurants and retailers in order to expand their customer base to be able to provide outdoor dining and retail opportunities. It's divided into three categories, and they're specific to the COVID relief. First is the ability to close sections of Olympic Avenue and expand outdoor dining and retail opportunities into the street, similar to what we do for the street fair. And so we did do that, working with the businesses for a few days before Christmas. And so we closed between 3rd and 4th on Olympic. The second piece of the order allows businesses to expand onto the sidewalk and the parking area on the street with some safety barriers to separate the pedestrians and vehicle traffic. And then the third one addresses tent use on private property. So specifically, restaurants and bars are able to erect tents on private property and use that for outdoor dining opportunities. The executive order is scheduled at this point to sunset today. If council chooses to approve the order, staff is recommending that we extend that until March 1st, 2021. That gives restaurants and retailers an extra couple of months. Council would have the option of re-looking at that in the future. So if the conditions changed and we no longer needed this executive order, council could terminate it early, or they could extend it if for some reason there's a need to extend it past March 1st. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have one, Paul. When we did it before Christmas, how did that work out? I was only down there one day, and I saw, people were there, but how did the businesses feel that worked? Were there a lot of people? Did it help?
I think there was some. It was the first time they tried it. It was kind of a spur of the moment business. They realized that we had a few days of nicer weather without rain. So it was just try it at the last minute. There was people downtown. They did take advantage of the outdoor seating. I think the more we do it, the more it'll catch on.
Okay, thank you.
I walked down there a few times, being that I just live a block away, and it was pretty consistent. I won't say huge groups, but I would say consistent, small family groups around at the different tables and stuff. So I think it'll be a good success.
I agree with you, Deborah. I walked down a couple times Saturday too, and Saturday evening, and there was a few people here and there. And I mean, some of the restaurants were open, some of them weren't.
I think it gives the restaurants another opportunity to earn some revenue. So in doing that, it just, gives them another option for sure.
Okay. I also think this is a fantastic idea. In many of the other cities we visit to have dinner, we'll have these options. I know also if you call around, that's probably one of the main questions that gets asked right now is what's open, where can we go, that kind of thing. So I think it will ultimately help the businesses downtown. If there aren't any other questions, I'd like to move to confirm the Executive Order 2020-1 and extend its sunset to March 1st, 2021.
Second.
Second. Question.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's hope that it does help the restaurants and the bars with their business. Next up is the reappointment of Mayor Dan Rankin to serve as the Snohomish County Health District Board of Health Representative for all the small cities in North Snohomish County District 1. And Mayor Rankin is with us this evening to answer any questions.
I have a question. Thank you for being here, Mayor Rankin. I wanted to ask something that I'd heard from some concerned citizens that health districts in other counties or other states have different levels of authority. And so some of them are going to the extent to have fees or fines for the general public who are not wearing masks. And so I just wanted to ask if the Snohomish County Health District had discussed that, or if that's not even on the table, and what your thoughts are on it.
And it's a pleasure to be here. Sorry that it's once a year, and my once a year is with Zoom. I know that we all prefer to do things in person. Good question, Jessica. It's really not on our radar. So being on the board, that really hasn't been discussed. Early on, we discussed a lot of the business issues that were coming down. And so I did some outreach this afternoon, and there will be no fines or tickets coming from the health district. And the process is, let's see, organizations not complying with face mask or other state. So if it's a business or organization not complying with the face mask or other state guidance, there's a process. And so the process is established for establishments in school and childcare. Those teams will send teams out to do educational outreach on the first complaint. For subsequent complaints, we send them a letter, and then we actually have to notify the state that there's been a complaint filed. And now recently the health district has went one step further and sending a copy of that letter to the city of record. And so in this case, the city of Arlington would receive a notice that an establishment or a business in your community was working within violation of state order.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. You had another question about compliance. If somebody is going way above board on compliance, they've done everything they could to create a space or an atmosphere that would seem compliant with most of the orders. The health district can't reduce, the county nor the health district we cannot reduce any of the orders that are from the state. And so if it's a state order, we can't reduce that.
No, so my question wasn't about that. It was, I know that there are some organizations, nonprofits that are working towards supporting restaurants reopening, but, at the state requirements and above, right? They're trying to go above with the health. So I'm wondering, can the Snohomish County Health District support that? Or do you guys have to keep yourselves totally separate in that manner?
I couldn't say that we would or would not support it. I know that we can't reduce if it's under an order, we can't reduce that order for any special business or anything like that. I know that Dr. Spitters has considered doing, to as soon as we can relax some of those restrictions, but until we can, we can't. I don't know if that gets to your question that much.
Not really, but I think in this situation I might have to be a little more specific. So I'll just call you when I've got more details on it. So that way you're making a statement that's more specific. So
okay.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
That's fantastic.
Mike had his hand up too. Mike, did you have a question? Oh, you're on mute, Mike.
Sorry. Yeah, my question had to do with the compliance matter. Do you have any measurement, does the board have any measurement on the level of compliance in Snohomish County?
I don't have current numbers. We're coming up on a meeting on Monday. I should have more information. I just, after this meeting started, I received an email from Dr. Spitters. I imagine in that email it has some of those statistics. Our compliance is pretty good. We have our hotspots, and those have been hotspots since mostly after 4th of July. And those continue to be bothersome. I ran the numbers for a couple of our communities, and our numbers seem fairly low, but they're actually, because of our population bases, actually tracking fairly close to the rest of the county as far as cases per, in our cases, small communities per 1,000 people. They're tracking pretty closely to that. I can say that those hotspots are generally in communities that are not great on mask wearing or complying to a lot of the state orders. And I can say that in the North Zone, the cities that I represent, we're doing really good. The North area, District 1 is doing better than most of the other districts. So it's good to be North.
The cities that are represented by this seat on the Health District are Arlington and Darrington, Granite Falls, and Stanwood, just so that you know.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mayor Rankin?
If there aren't any more questions, I am on a subcommittee for the policy, program policy, and I plan to remain on the program policy board for this year if I'm reinstated. And the work that we're doing there has a lot to do with equity, not only within the health district and the staff and policies concerning the health district, but as in the outreach that we do as a health district, creating those, breaking down the barriers and providing equity within all aspects of public health throughout the county. And so that's some work that I've started in 2020, actually started it in 2019. We hope to be finished by now, but like most things, we kind of got sidelined for a while. We're diving deep into that. There's been a citizen group brought on board in the school, in the district, so that as kind of an advisory group to the program policy committee and to the board concerning equity and inclusion throughout the county. There's other program policies that are in the works, but I don't feel that they're real significant compared to that one. They're all policies are significant, but that's the one that I have the most passion about. There's any questions, my number is free to all of you. And if you don't have it, Mayor Barb definitely has my phone numbers, all of them. So any questions at all, just get a hold of me. I'm always available, or most of the time I'm always available. Anything else?
Nope, I just got a motion to make. So I'd like to move to reappoint Mayor Dan Rankin to serve as Snohomish Health District Board of Health Representative for all small cities in County Council District Number 1.
Second.
Question?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous, Dan. Thank you for representing us and for being a conduit for information to us. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure to be on the board of directors for Snohomish County's Board of Health, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to warn you that I'm term limited unless it's a unanimous vote by all the cities in our district. My plan is to exit the Board of Health next year. So that means one of us all needs to start thinking about whether or not this is something that they may want to do. So I think 6 or 7 years is long enough. I think it's 6 years.
Especially during a pandemic. Thanks for shouldering that one.
Well, thank you all very much. You enjoy the new year, and see you soon.
All right, take
Thank
care,
you.
Mayor Rankin.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next item of business is Station 48 Change Order Number 1. Oh,
Thank you, Mayor. This is change order number 1 to the Fire Station 48 construction project. Talked a little bit about this at the workshop a few weeks ago prior to the holidays. This was an anticipated change order. We excluded the electrical service from the base bid for the fire station project. At the time we bid the project, we weren't clear on what route we were going to take or where the power was going to come from. We were still working with PUD on that. So this, once we figured it out, it made the most sense to bid this through the general contractor as a change order on the project, which we did. And this resulted in change order number 1. We're well within budget that was anticipated for this project, portion of the project. We will see an additional change to this because there will be some charges from PUD that we haven't received the quote on yet. But this covers the contractor's portion of the work to create the pathway and set the vaults and things that we needed for the electrical service. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, no questions? Then I move to approve the change order number 1 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Question?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's a unanimous vote. The next item is an amendment to our interlocal agreement with Marysville for court and jail services. Paul.
Thank you again, Mayor. You may recall last January, we talked about and council took action to terminate our agreement with Marysville for court and jail services. We moved to the county using Cascade District Court and the county jail for jail services at the beginning of 2020. We discontinued any cases in Marysville, any new cases by March of 2020. It was had to be a phased in approach in order not to overwhelm any one of the courts. At the time when we did this, we had our ILA with Marysville that would continue court services through the end of 2020 to allow us to clear up the cases that were still outstanding going through Marysville court process. That just has taken longer than anticipated at that time with COVID and the court shutdowns. Our prosecutor has just not been able to get through the cases completely. So we still have some outstanding ones in the Marysville court system. And so this ILA just extends the original one that sunsetted at the end of 2020. It continues it through the end of June. So it gives us another 6 months to clear up those cases. There's no budgetary impact with this. These cases we've already paid the filing fee on, so there's no additional budget impacts. I should add Marysville City Council approved this a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, no questions? And I move to approve the 7th Amendment to the interlocal agreement with Marysville for court services and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Question?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the amendment passes. Next up, we have our franchise renewal with Comcast. Brian Terry, oh, there you are.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Before you this evening for consideration is the renewal of the cable franchise agreement with Comcast for cable television service that's within the city limits of Arlington. James Tree Fry and I worked on this with Comcast, and Mr. Peifel provided the final legal review for this agreement. A quick summary of the changes from the last agreement. We updated the gross revenue definition to better define and clarify the terms included for revenue items, which results in no fiscal change to the city. We updated the terms of the agreement from a 10-year term with a 5-year additional option. The previous franchise was a 5-year with a 5-year additional option. We increased insurance coverage levels on both commercial general liability and commercial automobile liability. We removed the annual report requirement. Removed the PEG option, the secondary PEG option, and replaced it with an additional HD simulcast PEG channel. Removed complimentary service to the city facilities per 621 order from the FCC, as well as the institutional network removed from that order as well. Tonight we have Vincent Bies, who is the Director of Government Affairs for Comcast, and together we can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Brian. Welcome, Vincent. Jan, did you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I have two. My first one, and Brian can probably answer this one, is do we have franchises with all of the providers of internet service within Arlington?
No, just cable franchise. Anybody that's providing cable, video cable services with the city.
So if someone's on Verizon for their internet and stuff, that's not cable?
That's not cable. No, that's streaming internet.
Okay, I did not realize that. Yeah. So my next, and maybe the gentleman from Comcast, I know one of the biggest issues that everyone is having right now is kids within school districts having access. And I know that Arlington School District goes quite a ways out there, and I'd like to know if Comcast is doing anything to provide services for those kids who are not within Arlington city limits.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor Tolbert, for allowing us this franchise to come before you. To Councilmember Schwette's comment, so Comcast we're doing quite a bit out in the rural areas. Right now we're looking at some of the rural broadband stuff that's going around the city of Arlington, Marysville, Lake Stevens, and we're going to have a pretty big announcement coming up here pretty quick within the next couple months about what we're doing with rural broadband out there. I can't talk about it yet because we just got the news on our side today, and there's a few other steps before we go there. One of the main things that we're doing outside the city limits, where we've got school children that are within our service area, but maybe outside the city limits, is our Internet Essentials program. So we partnered with State OSPI Reichdal this year. I think we're up over 80 school districts now that we're working with to provide internet services, either free of charge, paid for by OSPI, or allowing people to get into our Internet Essentials program, which is a $9.95 for 25.5 broadband services. So that's what we're doing. Where we're not built out, that's where some of the places that we're looking at throughout the state, throughout the region here, to expand our system into some of those rural areas. Some of those rural areas are going to be too difficult to get to. Talking, like the Darringtons, some places way up the valley. But where we're able to, right now we're looking at the area in council, the County Council District 1 specifically, that kind of Burns Road, Cisco Heights, Frontier Air Park. We're working with the State Broadband Office, Russ Elliott from the State Broadband Office, and some of the residents like at the air park down there to find a solution to meeting the economics of those rural areas. So like I said, hopefully within the next couple months, we'll have some good news coming out of some work that we've been doing over the last year, focusing on mapping out some of those rural broadband areas that really need service.
Okay, because one of the things, and my son's an IT director at a school district in Eastern Washington. And one of the things, first of all, we don't know how long this is going to go. I expect it at least through this school year. But what they are finding is that a lot of the stuff they're doing is still going to continue. And I think that's going to be the way it is across the country. So those kids out in those areas, maybe they're not going to be on line all day long, but a lot of their learning is going to be focused on computer knowledge that they've actually had to gain in the last few months and will in the year. So I'm glad to hear that you're looking at how you can expand out to those areas. So thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Not just for the school, but I think even our citizens are getting used to the streaming services. So everybody, almost every household has content they're accessing through streaming services. Any other questions? Vincent, thank you for joining us this evening.
Well, thank you for having us, and I appreciate your vote on this.
So I would like to move to approve the franchise renewal with Comcast Cable Communications Management LLC and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second.
Question?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Agreement passes unanimously. Thank you, Brian. Our next item is an interlocal agreement and memorandum of understanding with the Arlington School District for the the school resource officer.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. As we discussed in the workshop, this is an interlocal agreement and MOU with the school district. We have a long-standing relationship with Arlington School District in supplying school resource office services, going back all the way till about 1997, I believe, with some activity prior to that. We'd like to continue that relationship, even though COVID has changed the landscape for all of us. The ILA would allow us to receive reimbursement for salary and wages when we have a full-time officer back at the school district. And the MOU actually provides some guidance that that reimbursement won't occur until we get back to more normalized operations. And so I would support this. I think it's a great program and hope you do as well.
Any questions or comments?
I would just like to say that this is a wonderful relationship, and I'm glad we're able to continue it. Hopefully we'll be able to continue it. And with that, I would move to approve the interlocal agreement and the memorandum of understanding with Arlington School District number 16 for a school resource officer and authorize the mayor to sign it.
Second.
Question?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Chief, it passes unanimously. And I agree with Marilyn. I think it's a great program.
Yes.
Yeah, and as somebody who has children in the district, I can't wait to get back to normal operations.
Sure. So our final item this evening is a professional services agreement with Bridge Coordination Services, LLC, for the domestic violence coordination services. Chief.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This agreement is to provide domestic violence services coordination. What a coordinator does is they work with the police department, kind of as a liaison between the police department, the victims of domestic violence, and also the prosecutor's office. We've had this service for a couple years now, and it's proven to be extremely effective. It does not have to be a criminal case for our coordinator to be involved in the process. They do referrals and provide services on all types of cases. Anything that's marked by an officer with a domestic violence tag gets marked for follow-up with our coordinator. So we do find cases that may have slipped through the cracks. We do provide better level of service. And I don't think I've heard any negative feedback about our domestic violence coordinator. It's been a great program. We did have some change in our numbers this year because of COVID. We started with a big drop, but we've kind of made it up towards the end of the year as people got a little stir crazy. So when we're looking at this agreement, we are looking to move to a 2-year agreement to be consistent with our budget cycle. It's currently slotted for 20 hours a week with a possible slight increase for next year's budget. And just to give you an idea of cases, through October of this year, they had referred 228 criminal cases, and they also consulted on 216 non-criminal. And that's just through October. Those numbers are going to be a little bit higher. I don't have the year-end totals, but again, this is a great program that we offer. Hard to believe we went so long without it, and I hope that you support continuing this program.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, all the hands went up. I saw Deborah first, and then Michelle, and then Mike, and then Jan.
I just want to say that I feel like this is as critical or more so than the resource officer. Growing up in an abusive family, I wish that we would have had these resources when I was a child. So I think it's just really a key element for us to have available in our city. And if hopefully needs won't increase, but if they do, I hope we can increase the personnel in this. So I totally support it. And I'm really thankful we have it, Jonathan.
No, thank you. It's very much akin to having the social worker because our coordinator does a lot of social work. And one thing I forgot to mention is they actually have gone out with our outreach team as well. And they've made a number of contacts that, again, cases that would have slipped through the cracks had they not done that. So we're very proud of that program. Well, I appreciate the support.
Michelle?
For me, anytime you can have one of your team members out, regardless of where it's at, partnering, I think that's amazing. And I was wondering, same as Deborah, do you foresee, is there a need for 40 hours or is it strictly 20-hour need at this time? And I would just say that I too would support if there was a need to increase that just to provide that service to those in need of it.
I think we have it dialed in pretty good right now with 20 hours for 2021 and then possible a slight increase for 2022. But however, if we did see a large influx, if we did have a lot of people move into the area to take advantage of those new jobs and we saw a lot of spike, we could always come back and talk about an amendment towards that if necessary. But I think we got it programmed in pretty good right now. I would imagine the next budget cycle, we definitely would be looking at an increase just the way we're trending.
Great. And by then we'll have a couple years worth of data. So one of the other nice things about this program is it puts a whole data set forward so we can see what that need is, whether it's growing or shrinking.
Thank you. I think it's a wonderful service to offer. So thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I had a question. A few weeks ago before the Christmas break, we approved, I think it was at the outreach program that it was a follow-up program to domestic violence of some kind or other in homes or disruptions in the home. And I was just wondering if, first of all, am I correct when I say that there was another program that was approved just a few weeks ago that had to do with the same topic of following up with a disruptive household or whatever. Am I on the right track here or am I way off base?
A couple weeks ago before the holidays, Mike, we did hear this proposal from Jonathan in a workshop, and now he's bringing it back to council to act on it.
Okay, so this is that same program then. Okay, I wasn't clear on that, so I needed to be cleared up. Thank you very much.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm back from vacation, so I thought I'd lost a lot of info.
Jan, did you have a question?
I don't have a question. I just want to thank Jonathan for not only this program, the coordinator for domestic violence is incredible, as well as our embedded social worker. And Jonathan, I want you to know that I absolutely, it touches my soul when I tell people what you are doing here in Arlington, because every city is not doing this. And I know with everything that's happened last spring and all, they're looking at different things, but to be able to tell people that we are already doing it and have been doing it is just incredible. So I want to publicly thank you for getting us involved in both of those programs.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind and generous. I wish I could take credit, but I serve at your pleasure. You guys have been very supportive, the mayor, especially with the embedded social worker program. And you guys continue to fund us and give us direction, and we'll make it happen. So thank you.
Councilmember Schweddy makes a good point, is I think everybody's looking for ways to solve problems in their community. And sometimes a gun and a badge doesn't have the knowledge base to help people who are in distress. And so these programs really round out, and they also support our officers in that work too, so that we can send them out for what they're trained for and use people who are trained in other situations for these very difficult challenges that the force comes across. Works out well.
Well, thank you. I agree with everyone's comments. I mean, this is a wonderful program, and I would say I move to approve the professional services agreement with Bridge Coordination Services, LLC, and authorize the mayor to sign, subject to final review by our city attorney.
Second.
Question?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I will just say, I hope Bridge keeps sending us the fantastic workers that they've had in this contract for us before.
They have done a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Happy New Year. And welcome back. All right, do we have any comments from council members this evening?
I just have one question, maybe Paul can answer. If I remember correctly, you know, the Roxy project, you know which one I'm talking about? Okay, if I understood correctly, they're starting construction this month. Is that right? Because I expect when they start, since it's such a visible place, that we're going to get a lot of questions and things from everybody, because they're going to have to take out, you know, those two houses and trees and stuff. So is it actually this month in January that they're starting?
There might be some groundwork, you know, grading starting, but no, they're just going through the permitting process right now.
Oh, okay. For some reason,
Ways to go.
yeah, I was thinking we had done something to speed that up. Okay, thank you.
Jessica?
I was wondering if we were able to figure out what the boom was. That has been a hilarious thing in our community lately, and I appreciate the humor of all the citizens and the memes. They are cracking me up, and I love that we have some positive interaction going on online. So I don't know if we need to find it because it's pretty hilarious.
There was a couple of, I think there was a couple,
Two.
depending on which booms, if it was the boom or the rumble,
No.
or there was, you know, there was some activity that was happening at Boom City that was certainly impacting the city of Arlington. And the rumbling, we also did have a business in the industrial center that had a part that broke that was a pressurized part. And they were trying to get the part to replace it because it was venting and letting off steam. And that was the rumbling that you were hearing. So,
Thank you.
You know, gosh forbid a part breaks over the holiday period. And you have to rush parts. I appreciate everybody's patience with it. Any other comments from council members? Well, do you have any administrative report this evening?
Nothing else this evening.
Yeah, I don't either. I hope you all had a very, very nice holiday break. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got to spend time doing the things you love to do with some joy. It certainly was a challenging year for all of us. We miss not being able to meet in person, but I mean, high compliments. And then if we should probably told the guy from Comcast, we obviously have some pretty good connectivity because we've not had very few issues with our virtual meetings this year. So very fortunate in that.
Okay, Madam Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second?
Question?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.